Happy Friday morning. Can't wait for the weekend to come in. There we go. Awesome. As Dan mentioned, I'm Manji, originally from India, came to States to do my bachelor's in Wisconsin, where I saw snow for the first time, which was very fascinating. I thought I was in Disneyland, but that's not what Midwestern friends thought, and they thought I was mentally off. And that was my first experience to Midwest Wisconsin. I've been fortunate, been in tech for the last 10 years, was at Intuit first, the small businesses itself, joined Microsoft, which was a great experience for 4 years. That's where I first got my introduction to AI itself, which was super fun. I got a few AI patents along the way, which was, at that time AI wasn't as cool. It was just this new cool toy that people thought might be something in the future, but weren't sure. And then a few startups, and I joined House. House it also focuses on small businesses. It's a late-stage startup helping with remodeling industry, from construction, interior design, and architect as well to do that. And I've been in To-Do Wunderlist is one of the first mobile task productivity applications, and there we use quite a few AI applications as well. So I've been in and around this space, so have maybe a little bit of understanding, and that's what kind of inspired me to start this company as well. And how can you help businesses be successful, especially where AI actually could be a safety net, not something they're threatened by, but something they actually approach itself that can help the business itself. Okay. Oh, no. Start with this. We're all about the buzzword, and what exactly is this new generative AI ChatGPT stuff that just literally took the world by storm itself? I think in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, you of course hear it everywhere, but when you go to Midwest and even when grandmas are talking about ChatGPT, you definitely need to know, you have to probably take a look. It's not just a fancy trend, it is something that's going to be here, and you have to do that one. We'll use the clicker. Wouldn't go me take 3 slides further.
I think your best is to hit the.
I would say, yeah, hit the enter button on the computer.
Oh.
It's store out. It's like,
I'll try to do that. Just to give you just a perspective of the rate of adoption of this thing. This is basically a graph of how much time it took to get to 100 million users for all these different applications that we all use, interact in some form. It goes all the way from Netflix. It took 16 years to get to 100 million users or customers as a result of that. TikTok took 9 months to get to 100 million. But ChatGPT, 2 months. That is nuts. To 100 million people. That is something to communicate that if the rate of adoption of this is super powerful, this is not just some fancy crypto Web3 trend that probably went and cut by, but something that's super critical for all organizations to adopt and run with itself. So what is this AI thing? Everyone talks about it. We heard about large language models and all these fancy words that the Silicon Valley nerds talk about all the damn time. But what is it? The early times of AI was very basic. It was very rule-based, that if this happens, then do this. That was the most simplistic form of AI in the early days itself. Just a whole bunch of rules and logic put together, almost like in an automated friend itself. Next came, and you could learn really well. The second one is understanding. If you can learn, imagine we learning or just reading books as a part of it. But how do we know that we truly understand the material that we read as a result of that? That was kind of the modern AI. In the last 10 years, you have seen the personalization element, like the Netflix recommendations or the post on Facebook that you see. Shop for music that you listen on Spotify. itself. So all of these were taking all of this user behavior data, creating these neural networks, just how a brain kind of symbolizes, and personalizing things for you itself. So that was kind of the last 10, 15 years of modern AI. And then we get to the crazy stuff that brought along. Now you can learn things, you could understand them, but now can you generate based on that understanding? Can you suggest based on that understanding? Can you act on behalf of that if you start understanding? Which is pretty powerful. And by the way, all those images were created by ChatGPT as well. So using that even to be a bit more active on that side. Did I figure this out? I think AI can't solve this problem. Let me see if I can play this video of. I sort of play this. Yeah, I think one of the questions that we don't talk too much about, like, yes, we have all this AI stuff, but as DSOs, in fact, where do you apply it? Like, do you just mindlessly go, pick up one, two at a time and try to do it? But it's also important to know what parts of the business that you can truly apply this that has a significant ROI as a result of that. And for that, I'm a huge Jeff Bezos fan. I think someone asked him this question, I think in Recode interviews like 2018 or 19. Hey, what's going to change in the next 10 years? Everyone is obsessed about this question. We are talking about this in the conference today as well. What's going to change? He argues something else. He's like, hey, that's not as important of a question itself. Wow. Uh-oh.
No, that's fine.
It's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
It's not hooked up? Maybe.
We not. Take it 5 more seconds.
And their Wi-Fi is no good.
Okay. Let's go back in this one. Okay, I'll tell what he tells you, probably in an Indian accent, not in a Japanese accent. So we'll take it for that one. They ask him like, hey, what do you think is going to change in the next 10 years? Like, hey, that's a good question itself. But then he goes on to mention what people don't ask is what's not going to change in the next 10 years itself. Because you can actually build a strategy around things that don't change in the business. At Amazon, he's like, hey, I can't imagine people coming to me and asking for more expensive prices. So, like, hey, you know what, Jeff, this is cool, but I really want this thing to be more expensive itself. Sure. You know what, Jeff, like, those packaging stuff are cool, but I wish they were 3 days late arriving to my doorstep itself. So he and his company, Amazon, invested in places where things wouldn't change itself, with just low prices, faster delivery time. So now you can actually build a business strategy around things that would not change and be stable over time. And I would encourage all the DSOs and others to be that as a much more of a practical framework to think about what's not going to change in your profession in the next 10 years itself. So one, capturing new patients. That is not going to change. 10 years from now, you still will be capturing new patients. Patient experience, something that will not change. Over the next day, you have to provide a great patient experience and satisfaction as a result of that. Running efficient dental practices, that is not going to change. That would still be critical itself. This is just a much more approachable framework of where you can apply AI to in your practices as a result of that. And some of the things that we talked about, and this is where AI is something a little bit of a wild one that we probably didn't even think about. We would always ask these questions around, hey, we don't have budget for this. how common of a phrase that is in those exec meetings itself. But this is the first technology that can take time and effort completely out of the picture and make it pretty much minuscule scale as a result of that. So one of the questions that you were saying, I don't have budget for this, which is very expensive, you're able to have an experience where AI can help minimize that drastically and orders of magnitude as a result of that. What's not going to change, even security and compliance. People are just there are bad actors out there, so you would have to spend and invest into that technology as well. So those are just great practical frameworks to think about, like what are the places you need to keep investing regardless, rather than maybe you have so many vendors that you can't even pick one because what part of the business results or ROI you can see as a result of that. And that one, I just gotta give it 2 seconds. I think I'm learning a little bit of a hang of this one now. Okay, should we outsource this to someone? That's another question you probably do ask because of the cost consideration. So anything that you might have been doing from a cost consideration perspective, all of a sudden, that's a good conversation to have. Like, oh, maybe we should look at solutions that could help get us to that part as well. We need a call center to do after-hour calls itself. Again, let's get something like that to consolidate in order to make a more operationally efficient practice as a result of that. And okay, question from the audience. How many of you believe, this is giving you, it's not supposed to see that answer, but you already saw it. How many of you believe responding to new potential patients is critical? Pretty sure everyone. Makes sense. And data also supports that the answer that you already saw. So you guys are cheaters here. What are we doing here? 80% of the customers buy from the first responder itself. If you don't pick up the phone, they're going to call just the next practice itself. How many times have you had that by the time you get back to them in a few hours, they're like, I already found someone itself, and you lost a customer. Not because of the quality of the service you provide, but because you just didn't answer the phone. Unfortunately, that's a reality. We saw this even at House or Intuit, House especially when we're sending them leads for home. Hey, you got back? By the time you called them back, they were gone as a result of that. So quality of business, even though that is super critical from a patient experience perspective, but it might not help in these situations as a result of that. And this time I'm only going to click once because you don't see the answer to the next one. So I'm learning. There we go, I got it right. How many of you respond to incoming patient within minutes?
1, 2,
Okay.
3.
2?
Right?
So we all thought almost 100% of the room, and now we got 2. So clearly there's a mismatch of how many of you, which is great you do that, awesome. And if you do that, I'm going to tell the answer, right? This is gonna. There we go. Your chances of converting someone increases by 4x if you're able to respond to them within a few minutes, either from an answering perspective or otherwise. That one. Just the latency on this clicker.
Hit the enter button just once. Hit the enter button on the keypad.
Okay. Much faster. There we go. After hours, evenings or weekends, how many are able to respond to that in a few minutes? It's
1.
Okay, 1. We're down to 1. Okay. Slowly going to 0. 40% of new patients reach outside business hours itself. We have seen this in our data. Clearly, there's a lot of research out there which everyone I'm sure has access to. And this is very critical. Our lives are getting busier. Like, think about all of us. We're in 9 to 5 back-to-back meetings and others. We don't have time in the middle of the day to call to run for errands, practices or otherwise itself. Only time you get is in the evenings or weekends. Like you just put your family and kids to bed, and now you have time to run errands. But at that point, practices aren't open itself. So you've got to meet your patient where they are as a result of that. And this is just an example of like, hey, how would you get new patient? Can you instantly respond to them as a result of that in a very personalized, contextual manner itself? And there's a lot of reasons that, hey, front desk team is busy with existing patients itself, so they cannot attend the call, lunch breaks, someone calls in sick, time off. All of these are just reality. If it's not one person, then it's someone else as a result of that. And then I'm gonna, if this one works.
I can't promise the Wi-Fi is great.
Okay.
Keep your fingers crossed.
What's that? How is it? There we go. Let's see if we can play this one. So this is like a quick demo. We can call the practice, the missed.
Use the, yeah, click on that. There you go. Fingers crossed.
Okay, the video's not playing. We'll probably send the slides later on. But what you can do is pick out your phone. I'll show you a live demo right now. So I'm going to ask you to call this phone number, 415-868-4345. So I'm just going to wait 5-10 seconds. Just call this number, 415-868-4345. So you hear a voicemail, and then once you hear a voicemail, you can disconnect as a result of that. And you probably would have gotten a text back itself. You're going to text back and raise some hands.
So sorry, missed your call. Any existing patients?
There you go.
No.
And now it's like, hey, so sorry, we missed your call. This is Andrea from Fuller Smiles, the new patient or an existing patient. And all of a sudden, your interaction starts beginning itself. And you give, hey, it's a new patient. What service you're looking for? Hey, I'm looking for canal or deep clean or any of those services that a dentist provides. Then it goes on to ask in an engaging, personalized manner that, hey, what insurance you might be taking, because different practices take different insurance as a result of that itself. And then it asks for your preferred times and appointments, just like someone at the front desk would do itself. And now, all of a sudden, you're not missing out on 35% of your calls that gets missed, either during the day, or evenings, or weekends, as a result of that. And it's very personalized. It uses your name in the conversation. It feels a lot more natural itself as a result of that. It's just a simple example that, hey, since new patients tend to be lifeblood of DSOs, and you need to have anywhere from 25 to 30 a month as a result of this, this is a great way to capture new patients which otherwise would be missed as a result of that. And this is another common use case that, hey, you have customer support and service itself. Now think about like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. I think Brian yesterday talked about how people even schedule appointments at like 10 at night, 2 in the morning as a result of that, because of these lives getting busier as a result of that. What if a common question usually gets sent to ask, like, hey, what insurance do you take this insurance as a result of that? But what if you could take that question and turn it into a new patient opportunity as a result of that? Is an example. I don't think the video would play, but we'll probably skip this one, I don't think. I think some of the 1 or 2 slides didn't get through as a result of that. No, probably not. Okay. And another use case that we have seen, like Monday morning, your front desk team, I think I love this picture Patrick had yesterday, there's someone just like screaming their heads off, they have everyone asking for things. you have the most amount of reschedules and cancellations coming Sundays itself. Monday morning for 3 hours, all you're doing is just listening to voicemails, taking some notes and sticky notes, and trying to get back where to be doing what as a result of that experience. So one of the things we do is basically we aggregate all those conversations, send them a Monday morning briefing email, like, hey, these were the new patients that came in, these were the rescheduling ones, and these were the cancellation ones. All of a sudden, you start saving 5 to 7 hours a week because now front desk team is a little bit more happier. So I think one of the important topics that we discussed yesterday, how do you get the buy-in of the clinicians, the front desk team itself? They need to be part of this conversation. So we have built very specific tools as a result of this in order for them, like if you can save them 5, 7 hours a week, and not just any work, but the work that no one enjoys, listening to voicemails Monday morning to start your week itself. But if you're able to do that, all of a sudden they become a partner in this adoption versus other way around, as an example. Last but not least. So there you go. Feel free to, I'm happy to talk to anyone. I've already talked to quite a few of those folks as a result of this. One of my personal passion is helping other people. This is the reason I started this one. I wanted to grow small businesses as a result of that. I have learned a ton with all the practices we have worked thus far, and happy to share these learnings. That's what's working, what's not working. I think the saying in the Silicon Valley, which sometimes it goes a little too extreme, is like, hey, AI won't replace your job, but someone who uses AI tools definitely will put you out of business as a result of that. So happy to help, happy to have a conversation, and again, thanks for Sunset team and others for organizing this wonderful event. So thank you so much.